thrilled to be back in Missouri. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I am thrilled to be here, but I am even more excited that you are here, because that means that you are patriots that believe in taking back this country. That's what this is all about. Don't believe the mainstream media when they say we cannot do this. Don't believe the mainstream media when they say that the Tea Party people, that's how they talk about us now, that we've lost some of our impact. No, we have not. Can you say Richard Murdoch in Indiana, who was a Tea Party favorite? Can we say Deb Fisher from Nebraska, who got outspent and now she's the nominee? I was in Washington on Wednesday with Mark and with Justin. And so I had a reporter ask one of the typical snippy reporter questions. Now, I don't mean that of all reporters, okay? So the ones that are here today, y'all are the good guys. I'm not talking about y'all, all right? So they asked the question, Mr. Cain, will the Tea Party in 2012 be as impactful as it was in 2008? My answer was no. It's going to be more impactful in 2012. More. Because this movement is still growing. And it is still building. When I got out of the presidential race, and I know that a lot of you were disappointed, I was too. And you're right. For a lot of people, their favorite candidate is no longer in the race for the nomination. My favorite candidate is no longer there. Me! I feel your pain. But I had to put family first. The media attacks on me were vicious and unrelenting, and I chose to put family first. But just because I am no longer pursuing the position, I am still on a mission to maintain control of the House, get control of the Senate, and send Barack Obama packing. That's the mission. Don't forget that. Don't lose sight of the mission, folks. Don't lose sight of the mission. Because if we do, we're going to have a nightmare for 4 more years. It would be a nightmare that many of us can't even envision. All you have to do is look at some of the things that have already been done. And it's just going to be more and more of the same. So don't lose sight of the mission. You see, that's why the founding fathers succeeded. They succeeded because they didn't lose sight of the mission. The mission was, they were sick of old King George's mess and decided that they wanted their liberty and their independence. When I was traveling the country, and I'm still traveling the country, when I would go to New Hampshire, I was always reminded of their state motto that to this day they still have, which ought to be a motto for this movement and a motto for all of us who want to take back our country: live free or die. That's how strongly we feel about that. And some of you all know that I've written a new book called, guess what? 999. But it's called 999 in Army of Davids. Let me tell you why I gave it that subtitle. It's not just about replacing the tax code. And let me clarify something, because I know we have a lot of fair tax people here, and we got some flat tax people here, okay? I love all of them. Flat tax, fair tax, and 999. Let's not be our own worst enemy, okay? I've been working on the fair tax since it was around. Been working on the flat tax since it was around. Now 999 is becoming real popular. And if people would read closely to my economic growth and jobs plan, you'll see that phase 2 is the fair tax. But we got to have a transition in order to get there. Because what we have now is unacceptable. I call Washington, D.C. big government Goliath. That's why we've got to have an army of Davids. Big government Goliath. You know the story in the Bible of how the Philistine, Goliath, challenged David and his people. David was out minding his own business, taking care of the sheep. His brothers didn't have the courage to stand up against him, so they sent for David. David showed up at the scene. The big giant was there. They tried to put all of this armor on him. He said, "This is getting in my way." So David took his slingshot and 5 smooth stones, but he didn't need but one to bring down Goliath. We need an army of Davids so we can take back our government starting in November 2012. An army of Davids, just like the founding fathers did their job. We have got to be the defending fathers and mothers of this great nation. We got to defend life. We got to defend liberty, and we got to defend the pursuit of happiness, because the pursuit of happiness is under attack in this country. And if we don't stop it, people aren't going to be able to achieve or even dream their American dream. I have been blessed in that I have achieved many of my dreams and then some. My parents achieved their dream. You see, Dad walked off of a farm at the age of 18, literally with just the clothes on his back. Not figuratively, literally, with just the clothes on his back in order to pursue his American dream. And one of them was to find a beautiful wife. He did, my mother. She also walked off of a small farm. But she had a little bit more than just the clothes on her back. She had enough stuff to put in a grocery bag when she left that farm. Ended up in Atlanta, Georgia. Raised my brother and I. One of Dad's dreams was to be able to buy a whole house for his family. One of Dad's dreams was for his sons to be able to get a little bit better start in life than they did, and we did. One of Dad's dreams was to be able to make enough money such that if anything happened to him, Mom would be taken care of, and she was. They were able to achieve their American dreams in the greatest country in the world, and I didn't hear them making excuses about what they didn't have. And unfortunately, we've got some people in this country that are falling for the class warfare card. They're falling for the race card. They're falling for all of these distractions that have absolutely nothing to do with the failed policies of this administration. Nothing at all. You know, some of you have heard me talk about how the liberals employ the same tactics over and over. Somebody gonna get me a bottle of water? Am I gonna choke to death? Jay! They're falling asleep on the job. I talk about these sin tactics that the liberals employ. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you. Jay, you're fired. Just kidding, Jay. He's kind of sensitive, you know. I'll talk about the sin tactics. And I want to share them with you, so when you hear all of this liberal, let's see, we got the media here, so let me try to clean it up a little bit. When you hear all of this liberal mess, okay, when you hear that, you'll know that that's what they're trying to do to you, your neighbors, your friends, and everybody. Sin tactics. S, they shift the subject. Just like the president over a week ago shifted the subject of talking about the economy to same-sex marriage.
Take your time, Herman. We're here all night.
I get all choked up because I'm passionate about this stuff. I think it is the dust. The sin tactics. S stands for shifting the subject, just like the president did a little over a week ago. And some people in the media followed his lead, and all they wanted to talk about was gay marriage. And then the president doubled down and said that he also wants to repeal DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act. Some of the people in the media followed his lead, and that's what has dominated the press for about the last 7 days. Don't fall for the shifting of the subject. Here are the things that we ought to be excited about. We ought to be excited about replacing the tax code. Replacing the tax code. If you hear someone running for office, like Todd Aiken, my friend over here, I've already put him through the class that says don't use the word reform. That's code for business as usual. Todd wants to replace the tax code, along with a lot of other people. We got the restructure programs. We can't keep talking about reform, restructure. So don't let them shift the subject on you. S-I-N. They ignore the facts. This administration has gotten so arrogant that when the Labor Department calculates the unemployment rate, they ignore some of the folk that ought to be counted. And that's why the unemployment rate is coming down. It is. See, they forgot I studied math in college. So I, along with some other people, caught them. They don't count the people who, quote, gave up. They don't have a job. You still need to count them. They don't count the people that are, quote, underemployed. And as a result, the number keeps coming down. But if they were to count all of the people that ought to be counted, that unemployment rate would still be going up. So they shift the subject. They ignore the facts, and they name call. That's one of my favorites. When I was on the radio, and I'm still on the radio sometimes, I still substitute for Neil Boards and substitute for Boards, and a lot of times you might see me on Fox News, which I'm still going to continue to do some of that. But one night I was doing my radio show, and there was a gentleman who called up, and he had a very gruff voice. And he said, "Mr. Cain." I said, "Yes, sir." "You are shameless." Now, I've been called Uncle Tom, Oreo, sellout, turncoat, the list goes on. But as my grandfather used to say, who didn't have a whole lot of formal education, I does not care what you call me. So this guy, Mr. Cain, is shameless. You are shameless. I said, sir, why am I shameless? He said, it's shameless for you as a black man to criticize our black president. I said, sir, I have two things I want to share with you, and hopefully you can comprehend them. Number one, when we can no longer criticize constructively our elected leaders, we are no longer a democratic republic. We have become a nation of tyranny. And some of us are not going to let that happen on our watch. And I said, the second thing that I want to share with you, sir, that may be even more difficult for you to comprehend. Some black people can think for themselves without you telling us what to think. I said, thank you and have a happy life. They want to silence the Tea Party movement, the citizens movement, the same way. But we're not going to be denied. Here are the three things you need to do, folks, in order for us to take back this country. Three simple things I want you to remember. Number one, stay informed. Know what's going on. Know the facts, because stupid people are ruining America. We've got to outvote the stupid people. Stay informed. Secondly, stay involved. You are out here today because you are involved. That's why I'm happy to be here. You're involved. Stay involved. Somebody said, you're going to go out in the middle of Missouri, in the middle of nowhere, and give a speech? Yes. Why? Because a few hundred of my closest friends are going to be there. That's why. And they are involved. I knew y'all were going to be here. And then thirdly, stay informed, stay involved, and stay inspired. You see, they want you to believe that what we're doing is not going to matter. That's what they want you to believe. They want you to give up. You'll hear phrases like, Obama's going to raise $1 billion. Fine. Money can't buy a failed presidency. You're going to hear things like, well, people aren't going to get behind Romney. Look, it's real simple, folks. I don't care what you think about the eventual nominee. The process is what it is. It is what it is. And if you stay home, you are voting for Obama, and that's going to be 4 more years of a nightmare. But they are counting on you not getting behind the nominee. They're counting on that. But stay inspired. When I got out of the race, I had a lot of people say, but you're still out there. Yes. You didn't give up. Nope. You could have retired, went on an extended golf vacation. Yes, I could have. But you see, I'm still on a mission. I'm still on a mission. And it's the same mission that many of you all are on. And I travel and speak all over. In the last couple of months, I have spoken on the campuses of over 15 colleges and universities to keep our young people engaged. And you hear these polls sometimes about Obama is losing the youth vote. That's true. Because I'm going out there telling them the truth. Tell them the truth. They'll make up their own minds. That's how we do that, folks. Take our conservative message to them. So stay inspired. There are a lot of things that inspire me. I could give you 9 reasons. But I don't think you have that much time. So I'm just going to give you 4. grandbaby number 1, grandbaby number 2, grandbaby number 3, and grandbaby number 4 are the 4 reasons that inspire me to keep my eye on the mission. It ain't about us. It's about the grandkids. It's about the grandkids. And let me leave you with this. Here's another reason I'm still out here. And I'm going to stay out here. I'm going to continue to spread the message. You see, I'm a man of faith. That bothers the liberals too, that I'm a man of faith. Because you see, I had a little bout with cancer back in 2006. When I say it was a little bout with cancer, I had stage 4 cancer. I had cancer in the colon and the liver. And the doctors told me that I had a 30% chance of survival. I said, Doc, that means I got a 70% chance of dying sooner rather than later. He said, that's right. I said, well, I'm going to be in the 30%. So they took out 30% of my colon. He said, I need to take out 70% of your liver. I said, wait a minute, Doc. Did you say 70? Yes. That means I would only have 30% left. He said, yes. You mean you can live off of a sliver of liver? You see, even in cancer, I had a sense of humor. That's what's wrong with some people in this country. He said, yes, but the liver is the only organ in the body that grows back. Guess what? That was 6 years ago, and I am totally cancer-free by the grace of God Almighty. So do you think God kept me here to retire? Do you think God kept me here to watch this country be destroyed by this administration? No. God said, not yet. And I thought he wanted me to be president, but he changed his mind. But I also believe, folks, that God has a plan, and you are part of that plan. Every time I get an opportunity to feel your enthusiasm and your passion for the future of this country, that inspires me. And it basically reaffirms to me that you're doing the right thing and I'm doing the right thing. Because when you look around this nation and what's going on in the country, what's going on in the world, and you look at many of the problems and the crises we face, none of us are promised tomorrow. That's why we must use our time and our talents and our treasure while we have an opportunity to do so. And there was Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, who used to remind the young men of Morehouse when I was a student there about this thing called life. Life is just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon you, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to you to use it. You must suffer if you lose it. Give an account if you abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but our eternity is in it. We can win in November.